Hey guys, welcome to the Rebellion. The Tantra Hour. We're back to share our love with you, to share ourselves with you. So here we go. We're going to be going live on Facebook for those who want to be there. And for those who don't, I'll try my best to describe everything. We're going to talk about healing the earth with sex. And the earth needs healing right now because, as we know, it's burning down, it's flooding out. There's locusts, there's floods in China, there's volcanoes and earthquakes and all kinds of stuff.
There's hurricanes and tropical depressions. It's tropically depressing, guys. But we're here, as she said, to try and give you all a little uplift in your spirits. It's such a devastating time, and we don't mean to be glib. Our thoughts and prayers, sympathies do go out to everyone who suffered in the West Coast wildfires, in the hurricanes, and any of the devastation that's going on worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. It's been crazy all over the world. Here in California, it's crazy. Now listen, a lot of this is stuff that's on such a bigger scale than what a person can do. It's like a end times bullshit kind of stuff. But we can mitigate damage and we can transmit light and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
We were just talking about this earlier in the sense that it's always good to be active. It's also good to talk to people and try and convince them. Problem is when you get certain kinds of people, they've already made a decision that they are not going to improve or change, and they really just want you to spend all your time frustrating yourself, and more importantly, wasting your time trying to help them change, which ostensibly they want with all their hearts, but what they really want is to actually drag you down to their level. And there's nothing wrong with trying to help people like this at the beginning, but when you stay with them too long, you just end up making it. And so the point I was trying to make is that as we were in the age of Pisces, actually, earlier, there was just a certain way of doing things, and it was much more necessary. You had to kick people in the ass, so to speak, and it's much more brutal, physical. I need to physically pick your ass up, or I need to, crack a thumb in the head, get them off the railroad track.
Even worshiping people, worshiping the image of a person, like the way that we used to feel about celebrities. People would mob celebrities
Elvis
and were
used
in
to
love
have
with
shit
celebrities.
ripped off him. Little girls would literally rip his clothes to shreds with tons of hair out of his head. Okay.
And now you can't even imagine that, huh?
My point is,
it's so
we have
far
become
away.
a lot more cerebral as a culture and a world happily, and we are trying to be more intellectual. And as we do so, as we begin to understand the truth of the phrase, thoughts are things, the truth of the reality that all is mind, the universe is mental, the first law of the Kabbalion, all is mind, the universe is a giant living mind, thoughts are things.
Yeah.
And when you're at a low enough level, there's not that much oomph behind your thoughts, at least, not consciously, so they seem to you to not have that much of a reverberation. But every pebble you chuck in a pond puts out ripples.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when you're actually stirring the pond and making way, which is the analogy here, that might be necessary, but now we're trying when everything's trying to still and be mellow, we're all trying to connect. So instead of, sometimes it's good to learn by example and show people.
Yeah.
A lot of times you just got to let that go and basically at this point, most of those who can learn have.
Yeah.
So it's better just to think. Literally have your mindset, your thoughts, I'm just going to do what I need to do every day and just literally look for people in the most in need of obvious help that I personally can take. Hey, man, you know what I mean? And again, it's your personality, your mindset, your convictions, the reality of who you are, how you carry yourself, what you are internally, regardless of what the rest of the world wants or needs you to be. In terms of your positivity, your love, and your self-growth and your self-admiration, when you have that, when you're laser-focused, when there's no room for doubt, when there's no way to say, gee, gosh, you know what I mean? Eliminate it all, man. Eliminate it all from your life. Eliminate all that negativity, all that worry, everything that makes you kind of wishy-washy. There's nothing wrong with being straight ahead when you know you're doing something right, when you know it's positive, when you know it's universally right. You know what I mean? Because the problem with language is sometimes we can tie ourselves up with philosophical questions. Is this truly right? Is this truly wrong? You know what I mean? It's great to philosophize, man, but, let's be dead honest, okay? Certain things just obviously suck. For everybody. It sucks to be beat up,
the Nordics,
for instance, and it sucks to be hungry.
We'll talk about how humans don't really understand the difference between right and wrong. And that's kind of true because it's literally we've suffered from just ages and ages of propaganda and programming and all kinds of stuff, and through the church. And it's not that the church is a lie, because it's not, but it's taking a truth and turning it into a lie and a control system that goes against what it tells you that it should be doing, you know? You know? It's literally like there's a universal God. There's a universal truth. You don't need a religion to find that truth. If you just if you keep going logically, you're going to go, somebody freaking designed this solar system in such a way that it would create certain effects. The moon is too perfect. You know what I'm saying? It fits over the sun perfectly, and it doesn't happen anywhere else in the solar system. And there's actually,
it's basically a Death Star in a lot of ways.
It's like hollow, you know, and stuff. So it's like, I'm just like, this is what Newton was talking about, and those guys who saw the universe as mechanical, they were just looking at the way that the zodiac and certain planets and stuff work together. And from that perspective, it's like a clock, and it goes around, and it goes into certain formations, you know. The planets are the most free thing in that system. But,
And the way this all relates to Tantra. But we actually do the point to make is that being aware, being knowledgeable is the best thing you can do for yourselves and others. Study as much as possible. Enrich yourself as much as possible. Seek out actual truth. The problem is that so many people, and myself included, a lot of things take things for granted that we actually get from other sources without really investigating or finding out for ourselves. So often things that we consider to be facts are really just opinions. There's no way for us to truly verify it. And of course, a lot of these things is the great John Lang once said, very popular, who was actually on a calculate the distance to a star. Sometimes you have to take it for granted that the scientist knows his business, you know what I mean? Things like that. But other things, it's always good to go out and do a little research and maybe read for yourself. Or, well, you know what, I actually heard this fact and I went out and checked that historical document and country. I'll just say this, man, science is a methodology, not a set of answers. So what seemed eternally true at one point is just now not so much wrong, maybe misunderstood. Like when I was a kid, we thought there's a thing called a brontosaurus.
And it wasn't even
a apatosaurus, wrong bones. But I was a kid, an apatosaurus was a brontosaurus, right? Okay, caveman still whacked their mates over the head with a big old club around the noggin and dragged them back to a cave. You know what I mean? No Africans or Asians had Neanderthal DNA, right? And the Clovis people were the first fuckers to arrive in America, and that was it. Period.
Yeah, absolutely, you know what I mean? Pamela. I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing. The sun is alive, and he's aware, and his mind is so big that it's like he can really have a conversation with all of us because we're all part of him. It's like a little spark of the sun. Something comes into the sun from another level, but it comes through the sun into the earth, and it gets wrapped in the earth's energies. It's almost biological, kind of, you know? And it's like, you're really part of the sun, and you can talk to him, and he's like raw, and that's really all true. That's all true. But it really is true on a weirdly sciencey level.
I would have but it is. I mean, we think about the amazing physical processes of this immense ball of gas that's so huge, its own weight keeps together. And it's literally basically a continuous nuclear reaction in space, at a fission level. You know what I mean? Going into fusion. It's just, it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's incredible. I've marveled at. I was lucky enough to grow up in D.C., so I went to the Smithsonian quite a bit. And one of the biggest things about the Air and Space Museum is the stars. And of course, what is our nearest star? Our only star, ours. And they go so in depth of it. They had some of the most original, amazing footage of the sun, and they had this little place where you could go and a telescope that was just constantly on the sun, wherever it was in the sky, as long as it was up somewhere. I remember just staring at the thing for hours as a kid, literally just. And it was just kind of a crappy mosaic at the time, but just to know I was looking at the sun, the actual sun, that big, huge, glowing ball. And I always felt there was a living presence, a mindset or something that could be connected with, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? And it is. If you look at the Kabbalah, for example, Tiphareth is an actual Sephiroth. And it's always been one of my favorites.
A sphere, and it's the sun, and your soul can go into the sun. Actually, this is kind of weird. I'll go into this. Is a quick one. There's a guy out there who was born in Canada, and he went by a pawn shop, and he saw an old, a really old watch, an old, pocket watch. And he wanted it, and it turned out it belonged to a guy who died in a concentration camp. And people had talked to him about it, and, it's just something he longed for on a deep level. And several Jewish people, having heard that he had past life memories almost of like dying and going to a heaven that was blue in color. They believed that his soul was Jewish, even though he was born a Gentile, and they bought the watch for him and brought it to him as a kindness because they believed he'd lost it in his past life. But that's like a thing, like it's possible that there's a few people who are like immigrants from another star that's blue, you know, and their soul goes to that star when they die.
We have blue, white stars, guys. We have orange. Yeah. We have red. We have yellow. There's some beautiful ones out there.
Yeah.
And I've always loved Orion's belt. I've always loved astronomy. You know,
Orion's my favorite, and that's like, I have connections to all kinds of energies, good and bad, but I try to be
that you're literally
inside myself.
Time traveling, but you're doing the most amazing form of time travel ever.
Ladies,
you're literally
serious.
Seeing at hundreds and thousands of different times, all at the same time, so to speak. I'm seeing 600,000 years in the past. I'm seeing 800 million years in the past. I'm seeing 45 trillion years in the past. For each star that I see, everyone has its own time and its own space and past, and that's what's just so mind-boggling and beautiful. As we are these little moments.
Yeah, literally. The people who do travel in space, they're literally higher dimensional beings. That's literally like the idea of us at third dimension being able to travel in space is like, to them, like ants trying to cross the Atlantic. It's not impossible, but it's so unlikely that they kind of never saw it coming.
It's kind of like,
you know,
and to be
they're
fair,
like, you shouldn't even be thinking about this.
Statistically, it is not wholly impossible that one single ant might somehow, given a weird little tucked-in reserve on a big enough leaf, might somehow be blown.
Yeah, it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. That's what I'm saying.
It's not real likely.
But they really want us to become higher dimensional beings so that we can be trustworthy with that kind of thing. But we go to the earth connection sex thing. Basically, if you can connect your chakras and your heart's the first thing you have to connect is your heart, because that's the hardest thing for us in this culture. Because we're taught, especially here in America, not just in Western culture, but in America
specifically. We've been so distant for so long now. Anyway, with social interaction, people have been more remote. That people really don't. I see it all the time in my own work. People would literally sit next to each other, where we're sitting now, on their phone, and talk to each other that way, like
they wouldn't even speak.
And I can understand, reticence in certain public situations or whatever, but like, my God, man, seriously, Like, you're basically alone for all intents and purposes. There's no one else around. There's no one paying attention. Like, no, we just prefer this. And I don't begrudge them that. I'm just saying that it just seems kind of sad, in a poignant way from
this is what they wanted, though. They showed me. This is another thing they showed me from above. There's like part of me that's above me and it's some other level, and I can see. They showed me that this was part of it. The whole phone thing, everything. It's all part of it. They've been trying to make the kids look down. They don't want people looking up, for one thing.
They're going to symbolize that. I mean, what do they say? Oh, I'm looking down. You're looking down. I'm looking down. How are things? Things are looking up. Literally. Everything is real. Everything. The whole point of the
If you're in neck pain, a lot of that's from looking down. It happens to me all.
Yeah,
I
most
heard
of us now have very rounded shoulders. Very much. You know what I mean? We're not only not standing up straight. When's the last time, actually, honestly, when's the last time I stood up straight and just kind of leaned back? And when you do, you'll feel this. More like that
you should
pressure
do every
in your lower
hour,
back.
actually.
You'll feel pressure all the way up your spine, but especially in your lower back. And that's the point of Tantra is making you at ease with your body. And
this is like yoga. You should, I do a lot of Tai Chi type stuff. Actually, I do something, I do something called Tiger Twist the Tail, and then,
Which is a lot better than White Monkey Steals Peach.
Yeah, what the fuck? That one's scary.
That's not Tantra, guys. That's actually Qigong. That's an inside Kung Fu joke. But to all my, Kung Fu brethren out there, yes, thank you, man. Good to talk to you guys and see you.
Yeah.
And, boy, first time I heard about that one, I was just going, okay, let's move on to the next technique.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys look it up and let that be curiosity. But as she's saying, it's true. You want to connect with the earth. You want to root your chakras.
Your heart first. Because if you want to connect to another person, you want to connect to their heart first. That takes a lot of, honestly, what they do in a lot of the beginner type classes.
And that's how we're circling back to what we brought on, sorry to cut you off at the beginning, guys, about people that you choose. The whole thing about the hippie revolution was it wasn't just sex, it was truly free love. It was the idea that so many people are bereft of love. So many people don't feel honestly loved, cared about, cared for. Like someone gives a shit. You see it every day. Here, hundreds, thousands of people, and most of them really don't. And the whole point of that revolution was, look, man, I may not know you everything, but I love you. Okay, you're worthwhile, you're valuable, you have value as a human being, you have value as a soul. I want you to feel loved. Even if it's not the actual intimate sharing of physical sex, I do want you to feel the actual thing, just a fucking hug. You know what I mean? It's a very hugging generation. I know.
The darkness doesn't care how much sex you have as long as you don't love. But if they,
you can literally fuck like weasels.
Yeah, they
but
want.
If there's not that connection, that
look at Brave New World. As long as you don't have the love connection, they want you cut off from your heart. Okay, so the first thing people do mostly is they have you look people in the eyes. Okay, the eye gazing is very important because it just literally triggers something in your brain as a monkey. Okay, it just triggers something enough that it can help you open your heart.
It helps definitely in regular conversations if you look another man in the eye and indicates trustworthiness. Try not to outstare him though, but a nice technique when you're with a woman that you do like, especially someone you've been with for a while, it's kind of disconcerting first date. But when she talks, don't look at her eyes. I mean, look at her eyes at first. As she speaks, watch her lips. It's very erotic for a woman. It's very sexy when you're, looking at their lips like.
Yeah, he knows. We know all kinds of little body language things.
I'm going to give some tips on homework at the bottom later on. And
I should talk about a little product we got. We should talk about our little pheromones.
Yeah, go ahead, grab it.
You guys will enjoy that. That'll be fun.
I love scents.
Oh my God, I want to put a little on.
Just like scents are the biggest memory trigger, are actually some of the biggest erotic response and erotic stimulants.
It comes with a little bunny cozy.
Well, technically, it's a finger puppet.
But it came with it, I used it as a cozy.
But it works as a bitch little cozy, so yeah.
It's cream flavored oil. It smells like vanilla.
Oil. So basically,
it's pheromones. It's androstenol. It actually makes you more social. Makes people see you as sweet. And it's good. It's a good neutral gender one.
And it just smells kind of like candy or cream.
It's delicious. It literally smells delicious.
I highly recommend this product. We'll put up a card for them later.
Oh, yeah. Love Scent. Love-scent.com.
Yeah, this thing's backwards, so.
I always love these people. I've gone to them before because I just love the idea of a love potion.
It's nice,
right?
All too often, like most male
pheromones. And it lifts your spirits if you're depressed. It actually will lift your spirits, too.
Yeah.
That's like
many male pheromones are overly strong and kind of like discomforting.
This one's not,
ladies.
yeah.
And this is good, and it blends great with everything from like her cinnamony, girly stuff.
It's like,
I blended this with cedarwood. It smells killer. I have like Drakkar Noir. Ironically, Drakkar Noir in this is amazing. I try not to use Drakkar Noir too much. I prefer other things like regular scents. I'm drawing a blank on what I can straight out. Patrick Dempsey, Old Things Unscripted, and a few other things like
I smell like cookies, and it's so delicious.
Oh God, it is.
It's non-threatening, but it's like
this and a little cinnamon oil. It's always a great scent, man. You know what I mean? It's I forgot what show it was, but they were talking about a guy on the show that women were like, you smoke like cookies all the time, vanilla and cinnamon.
Yeah, people.
I used to work at a Cold Stone.
Vanilla or very erotic.
I would after a day making ice cream and cookies and shit all day long. I would smell like ice cream and cookies and shit, and be like, oh my God, you smell delicious,
Listen,
it's a nice cookie shop, man.
You know that SNL skit where you bake yourself a brownie boyfriend? That's only like slightly exaggerating.
The caramel. No, we got the old kitty guy. But anyway, the point is that all these little things are nice. Try not to use them as like sneaky tricks, but be honest. So when I ask you what it is, it's actually a pheromone, man. Do you like it?
I'm not sneaky about stuff. I figure, and I usually you like to use stuff like this for like an interview to help me feel more social.
But it is a really nice thing for two partners, especially being together for a while. Every little bit that adds it to it really helps.
Yeah.
And they say this stuff mixes with so many things so well. I recommend you don't actually mix them together first. You can. They just tend to kind of change chemically. I think it's better to leave them separate.
Yeah.
Put on the one, then add the other on top of it, kind of rub them around, leave them like that. But, it's a nice oily scent base.
Yeah.
We haven't tried the other one. This is just the regular cream, but they have a sandalwood, a musk, a couple other ones.
Citrus.
And there's many places out there. And, always remember that scent, smell is a very, very powerful trigger for humans. Never forget that animals mostly distrust anything that doesn't have a scent, and that a lot of mammals, if descented, cannot have sex with one another.
Yeah.
They cannot. It's physically impossible for them to do so. Like, no triggering, no,
it just won't turn them on. They can't do it.
Doesn't mean they're not around. They're just like, there's a weird stop factor there.
Yeah.
And so she said, in social situations, obviously you've been around, somebody came by and you're like, oh, dude, you were humming. Bro, look, man, I know you didn't mean to, but you were just ripping right now. You know, it's just going to automatically puts you off. There's certain pheromones, certain chemicals, certain substances that will just automatically put you off. Now, ironically, as I stated before, opposite sex pheromones are mostly a trigger for most people. You know, I mean, to a certain extent. If someone's way too stinky, you don't have a thing.
There's a lot of tribal stuff
exactly.
that's kind of built into. This is why we wash ourselves a lot, because we're a lot of multiple cultures living together.
Exactly.
And,
but by and large, it's always nice to smell nice.
But it's also based on what you eat and your environment. That's part of your scent, is part of what you live and where what area you live and what you've eaten in your past and stuff. You know, if you eat a lot of curry, you're going to have a certain scent. You just will.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, if you feel you have any kind of digestive problems or bad BO, and especially bad breath, can't help to smoke a lot. Get some raw parsley. Have it like a mouth or two. Chew it. Get the A, killer roughage. B, parsley is a pretty mighty aphrodisiac, believe it or not, especially in some pretty good quantity. So is ginger. You know what I mean? I'm not saying fuck that. I'm just saying I'm a natural kind of guy. Seriously, go to the Yoshino, get a couple of those packets of ginger, 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
Eat a handful of parsley. It's killer for you. It'll be really
great for your stomach. Ginger is amazing for your stomach.
And you might just have some serious lead in your pants.
Anyway, really quickly, let's go back to the stuff.
Yeah.
So you look into each other's eyes and then you try to sync up your breathing at first. At first, that's all you do is you look into each other's eyes and you sync your breathing. He breathes in and you breathe in. That's not how you end it. That's just how you begin. And that's how you try to get your heart, so that you can start to feel. You literally will start to feel stuff in your chest. You'll literally feel a lot of us have been turned off from that because we've been hurt so bad. And that's literally just evil and shit, trying to make it hard for you to love. And it's like, it's a hard time being here. And that's why it's such a great time to advance as a soul, because it's so hard right now that you're going to be so powerful.
They would rather have you say, no, better just be lonely, not experience all the grief and trauma. And
I mean, listen, there is a form of Tantra that's actually celibate, where people just have relationships with a god or goddess image, and they'll just literally have, like, every sexual thought they have will be about this goddess, and they'll just create a relationship based upon that. And that works for some people. It really does. You know?
Like they have both the figures in the background.
But people tend, like even Tesla, who was a totally celibate person, had an emotional relationship with a pigeon, because part of you needs to have something that represents your feminine side or your masculine side if you're a woman, you know. So I tend to talk about the animus more than the anima, because I'm a chick and I think of it that way. But like, which is fair. You know, but like, yeah, because a lot of male writers have done the opposite, so it's okay, I guess, if I do it that way. But anyway, you get that in sync. Once you get your heart in sync, practice that a few times. Literally, just get it where you can look each other in the eyes, and then, you know, just gently kissing, doing that. You get that down. The next step is to start going to your root chakra and try to feel even lower than your root chakra. Go lower than your root chakra and sense, even if it's just imagining it first, just sense another chakra rooted deep inside the earth, deep into the center of the earth. And you root yourself into that chakra, like put your mind, imagine that your mind slips down through your chakras deep into the center of the earth. And it's like this black chakra that's actually purple, but it's so bright, it's a color you can't see. Okay?
It's not black in terms of negativity. It's the summation of all the colors, all the things that you think in terms of all the things.
It's black like Kali, like the mother goddess. It's black like the earth, like fertility. Okay?
Yeah, like dark soil.
So it's good
really
black.
Good. You guys ever seen like really nice dark black, like when you look at potting soil, you know, it's all vibrant stuff.
Yeah.
When you see like bad soil, it's usually very dry, or very light colored. It's alkaline. That's, you know, the irony. Good earth, deep earth, is black, but it's black and rich, not, you know, negative and
exactly. It's like the Nile River, you know.
Or like a black sand beach in Hawaii.
The good earth, you know. And so you think about getting into the earth, the deep, deep part of the earth, below yourself, deep into the earth. And if you already should have your heart chakras connected, okay?
If you happen to have like a chunk of hematite or even obsidian around, that's a real good thing to use.
There's a lot of things that I can show you. Sorry, to enhance what you're doing. There are certain. If you could get yourself a quartz and a black tourmaline and some pyrite, okay? This is something I learned from Kelly Coffey, that she actually, I think, felt like it was too powerful, and she kind of pulled back from it, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. You put those three together in a triangle and put it around yourself when you're meditating. You can make magic circles. What I do is I make like a Merkaba. I make two different triangles, and the quartz I use is Lemurian quartz, you know, and it's great. It's amazing. It's actually, you can, if you look at Lemurian quartz from the side, it looks like there's a barcode all over it. It's got like some kind of thing inside of it, some kind of knowledge inside of it. And that shit will make it, anything you do, so much more powerful and so much more potent. You know, and I keep all of these crystals, I keep them inside this bag right here.
Because she's actually got room between those things to touch.
Yeah. I actually have room for all those crystals. The more boobs you have, the more crystals you carry, right, ladies? Everybody knows
Harley down there, man. Like, I'm a spare.
And I have like this nice selenite, which is nice. But what's great is like you really want to try as hard as you can to try to get some Kundalini flow. And at first, you're not going to have much of anything if you're not very practiced.
And it's not what you think it's for.
Yeah, it's not what you think it's for.
It's actually a massage wand, and that's why it's like this, so you can slide it along your partner or everything. But what you want, remember that quartz is a natural electrostatic conductor.
This is selenite, but it's water, and it's like it's actually the remains of an ancient ocean.
It's basically like rock hard. It's pure salt, in other words. It's one big salt crystal. So you got to be really gentle with it. It's a lot easier to crack than quartz, so be delicate. But like quartz, thank you, I didn't forget, it is an electrostatic conductor. You know, salt water is a good thing. So just try and pay attention to your own biochemical energies.
Yeah.
You know, as you're using it, and just, again, if you have any knowledge of ley lines or acupressure, acupuncture, you know what I mean, you can use that to charge energy. But even if you know nothing about none of that, man, and you just want to use it as a nice big old massage wand, it works really well.
It's a nice, I love these kinds of wands.
I was very afraid to use it with oil at first because she said if you get it wet or like soak it in water.
If you soak it in water, eventually selenite will dissolve in water.
You can use a little massage oil on it without too much of a bad effect. You got a nice light one, and it works great. Yeah, and what you want to do is you want to start from the tailbone and move slowly up the spine. This is just, you know, stuff to prepare yourself to get your Kundalini right. Hey, David.
And you can actually use it, and you can actually use it if you're sitting in Yab Yum, which is the preferred position, which would be if I was sitting on his lap facing him, as we showed you before. I would take my wand and I would take it and I would rub from his tailbone up his spine, and that would be a great help in getting your Kundalini to start to flow. And you could do the same for, normally it's the guy rubbing the girl, but like it can be either way.
You can either just basically put the hands, so like you ideally want to get like the two fingers here between the fire and the water, and gently pull it up all the way to the base of the spine till you get just below the neck. And then that's when I like to switch over to the thumb and just channel earth, water, fire, air, spirit into it. And as I do so, let all that other fire and water that was going up slowly, kind of literally, if you think about it, it's like a little pot. Not so much boiling, it's kind of simmering and heating and naturally rising the way steam does until it comes up to here. And then when it gets to here, that's when I want to change it and channel it into that chakra, crown gem kind of essence. Yeah, exactly. And so, to repeat, you're connecting your heart chakras first by looking each other's eyes, syncing up your breathing. When you feel like you've done that, you put your consciousness, try to flow down through your chakras into the earth. Imagine like a ball of earth energy. Put yourself deep in the earth and put yourself in there. As you continue your breathing, you know, if you want, you can try to rub up each other's spine, or you can do that to. Usually, it's the guy doing it to the girl, but you can alternate because obviously you both are going to need help. As you said, you really want to try to see yourself as if you're seeing a Merkaba, it's basically like the Jewish star, but it's actually this whole 3D thing that surrounds you, and there's quite a few illustrations where they'll do that, and like one half is male, the one half is female. Yeah. And kind of like a. With your legs around each other, you sort of form a Merkaba, actually, with your body. Exactly. And so you need to see yourself as a single whole. This is how I'm returning to the whole. This is how I'm returning to God and the goddess. This is how I am becoming whole again. Yeah. And that whatever I lacked. And once again, you can do that celibate by just using imagery. Yes. Is fine, too. Yeah. You know? And just try to really reconnect, you know, and either way, breathing. If you're alone, you're not alone. Your mind is on your breathing. You're breathing with your breathing. You're becoming aware of your breathing. You're resonating with your awareness of yourself. Sitting in the partner, only now you're just trying to sync it up a little more. Yeah, exactly. Try to literally dissolve yourself, so to speak, not lose anything other than your sense of ego and self, and just try to return to the cosmic all and that oneness of the moment. I love this person because we are all united. Everything is one. Self is kind of an illusion, is what many believe, and I believe that too. And the ego is kind of destructive. So yeah, just be with your partner, becoming one. Just breathing together.
So once you've got that, you've sunk, and then you feel like you can sink your consciousness into the earth, and you've got that. That's when you would do. One would kiss the other's forehead, and then he would kiss your forehead. And you put your two foreheads together with a little bit of saliva on there on purpose.
You can literally in your mind be able to see your two heads falling through one another.
Yeah, like your third eye chakras are uniting into one third eye chakra, and at that point, see a light coming into you and coming down through you and into the earth. Okay, this isn't the full process. There's a whole cyclical breathing thing that I can teach you. But for right now, if you're going to do this at home, literally just try to do those 3 steps. That's more than enough, and that'll start helping because once you get the sync breathing, literally you can start to try to do the opposite. Whereas she breathes out, you breathe in, and you would imagine energy coming up from the earth through her. And then down through you and up, and it would repeat itself. As you breathe out, she would breathe in. But don't worry about that right now. That's more complicated. For right now, literally just try to get your hearts in sync. Then try to imagine connecting to the earth. Then you connect your third eyes and let the light in. If you can do all that, you'll be doing a lot. Okay? You'll be doing a lot.
What's really nice about this is for so many couples, eventually, it's not that sex becomes like rote or formulaic. It's just that there's kind of an impetus, a time, I got to do this and that. And what's nice is it frees you from the constraints of having to achieve orgasm, because obviously you want to, what you're basically doing is you're in her, obviously, you're sort of, but what you say, the whole point is just kind of maintain for a while and just think of it like kind of a cardio exercise, Just basically working out while you're fucking each other, to be kind of glib about it, But it's a mental workout and a soul workout and a body workout, and you're just trying to attune to each other, and love and enjoy and feel good and be there and just try to really get that harmonizing energy, like she said, going down into the earth, coming down from below, So basically you can also kind of do it like a literal human, you've ever seen lightning? Lightning sometimes does actually strike upwards. More often than not, it kind of goes up part way, kind of comes down part way, and it kind of meets the middle. Same thing. Just see yourself drawing the energy up, see the energy coming down, and just, and you are that spinning connection, and so is she. And I also think because basically, since your chakra is one, right, loop, and hers is another loop, if you take those 2 loops together and you stretch them out, you get a DNA strand.
Yeah, there you go. It's everything, all the energies and everything is a fractal of a fractal of a fractal.
Yep.
They've just discovered a structure, a molecule inside the human brain that basically looks exactly like the structure of our universe. And I don't think that's too much of a coincidence.
Or the fact
you might actually have universes inside of you.
If you look at the hippocampus, it can be argued that it is quite similar to the design of the Eye of Horus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing. Pineal gland. How the fuck did they know that thing looked like a pine cone?
And it not only that, it actually has a retina. It has like remnants of an eyeball in there.
As I said before, when we did Sri Yantra, the ancients knew that when the science of somatics, which is basically putting something on a plate and vibrating it to, with sand or salt or water on it to see what the patterns are, that's called somatics.
Yeah.
And when you do that with the Om sound, the perfect Om sound, it forms a Sri Yantra. That's what it forms. It forms an actual Sri Yantra symbol. They knew that tens of thousands of years ago. How? Because we have forgotten more than we remember. Okay? I've always believed that the notion that, our science is the highest pinnacle is absolute nonsense. It's clear to me that some previous civilization has just been not acknowledged because of archaeological nonsense.
Honestly, the more I look into it, the more I think they had a form of sonic technology.
I'm sure of it. I'm convinced.
Like Doctor Who, but like real.
That's not a joke. Sonic.
Like real sonic. Apparently, there's a lot of giant. They're stabs, but they're tuning forks. They're giant tuning forks that have like a wire between them, and they're all different sizes. And apparently, those really could have possibly cut through granite. So there's an explanation for how they could have possibly done that.
When you look at those places like Pumapunku or
but then Göbekli Tepe, Göbekli Tepe is from 12,000 years ago, and that's before we supposedly had agregulture. So there's some other culture giving us tools.
How do they make these amazing precise cuts? How do they lift megalithic stones? And again, it would have to have been some surviving technology from another culture that allowed them to do this. This has been destroyed archaeologically by whatever means. But I firmly believe that this is also a thing of Tantra, that we were a very loving species, or, at least akin to a very loving species, very smart, very wise, and that we understood, universal harmony and energy is what it is, and that they were much more concerned with a much more organic and humane and loving form of energy, as opposed to like just yanking shit out of the earth and setting it on fire, processing it. And, if you know anything about sonics, hypersonics, subsonics, all that stuff, if you've ever seen cavitation in action, sound does some funky stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It really does. Sound waves.
Supposedly they could lift stones with it. There was supposedly some film a long time ago of Tibetan monks using all giant horns to lift the stones. And, they don't do that stuff in public, obviously, anymore for very good reasons. That's our shady bear. He's our little teddy bear kitty.
He's not used to us talking.
He's like Owl Kitty, if you know who Owl Kitty is.
Why you what
he's a boy.
We love you, buddy.
Otherwise, he's the same. and it's, and, if you know the story of Jericho, they marched around the walls and blew horns. Okay, there was a form of technology.
Remember this. Remember even Tesla said this. This is a fact. Okay, in order to destroy something, all you need to do is match its resonant frequency.
Yeah,
you ever seen a glass show? You can go on YouTube right now. You'll see it. They were doing the Muppet thing last night. On one of the Muppet shows on Disney Plus, where they're talking about sound, and they're showing a glass under a speaker. Human can do, they got to be this close, but with sufficient sound, things will shatter. There's a story that Tesla had a vibrational resonance machine, and he put it on the side of a building, and it just kept shaking, and basically when it got close to the actual resonant frequency of the building, the thing started literally not just ripping the building apart, but triggering an earthquake for a very large area. So you can do a lot with sound. You can probably cut stone if it's high enough. You can probably melt stone, liquefy stone, move stone. Who knows? Yeah,
it's not like some of the sketches, some of the engraving apparently was done with hydrochloric acid, which they were able to make, because in case you didn't know, alchemy comes from Kemet, which would be Egypt. So they had a lot of actual science apparently.
Yep.
But there is still magic, and there was still real magic dimensional magic that they could do. Honestly, okay, really quick, since this is a little off topic, but okay, so Moses, when he parted the Red Sea, in the Bible, he supposedly used the Shem Hamforesh, which is the 72-letter name of God. This name of God is actually a line of stars that go around us behind the moon, the Navagraha actually stars in the Hindu, and these stars were related to a certain choir of angels, and yes, the Egyptians had angels, that were called jubilees, that are not angels in Christian or Judaism or anything like that.
Well, it depends. Some people actually do in some of the weirder versions.
Well, they're supposed
of
jubilees,
to be, but not as much.
quote unquote fallen, because they're also the Goetia.
Right.
So basically, the idea is, if you say the name forward, it's holy, and it's an angel that will answer you. And if you say the name backward, it will be the demon that you were summoning in the Goetia. These are the exact spirits from the Goetia. Okay, so he said it forward. He said it in the right way. He knew what he was magical, because he was Moses, and he came from Egypt, and he was a priest from Egypt, and they were magicians. So he called upon the proper angels in the proper order, and created all this magic apparently.
Through sound, and apparently they came as well.
Exactly, because it's it's a sonic frequency thing combined with a matrix thing. Okay.
Okay,
come on, baby. You want to float?
Yeah. Go on.
Come on, buddy.
Thank you.
I'll show you really quick. Since we're here, I'll show you some facial massage stuff. I love to use selenite because selenite is lunar. Selenite cleanses. It can cleanse all your crystals just by waving it around it, basically, like that. You know, it'll totally cleanse everything, but it'll hold any intention, as anything water can hold, you know, as well. What I do with it, I take it like this. I'm going to do it 3 times in each place, but I usually change it according to the day. Like on Tuesday, I would do 5 because this number of Mars. And I do like this, and I massage under my chin and along my jawline.
Most of the tension that we have, we keep in our neck and or jaw and or shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, as well as the joints and stuff. But most people really keep it in their head and shoulders.
And it's really like your glands.
If you've ever
really
massaged yourself under here, most people are pretty shocked at how much actual tension is there. If you get both fingers like right under the bottom of where your jawbone meets and press them pretty deeply and roll it back into place. Or even behind your ears at that little juncture right here. People have like little things of synovial fluid.
And you rub it up along the nasolabial folds like that on either side.
Oh, that reminds me.
I tend to go into circles backwards because I'm trying to reduce wrinkles. So I think like that's how I think. I just think Wittershins. I'm going reversing it, you know. And I do along the cheeks because that gets rid of puffiness. That gets rid of muscle tension. A lot of your wrinkles are just in your muscles, actually. And they'll go away if you could just get rid of the creasing and the muscle stuff. So you can rub around your eyes like this. It's good to get the corners because there are little shiatsu points there on either side. And there are a couple inside. You should use your fingers for that, though, like that. Like that, lightly.
I'm not sure. Are you familiar with craniosacral unwinding?
No, I'm not, actually. I'm familiar with a lot of things about that. Yeah, you should. I'm going to look into it, though. So then you rub on like that, like either way. If you want to do the thing they do in Japan, you can make a little star. And then go on and up in both directions, up and down.
I can go my jaw. Who's to have her do it?
But it helps a lot. It really helps. Like I'm getting a little bit red. And then I have magical stuff in here, so I'll just rub it over my hands. Because I have magical attunements inside my stone here that I've used. So I just thought I'd show you that one. Facial massage is great for you. A lot of wrinkles really are just in your facial expressions.
Oh, there
you know, like your muscles get tense, you know, and they get used to kind of crunching up in that particular way, so they never have a chance to heal.
Oh, now you want in? Well, no, you gotta. Oh, God,
like if you give your skin, if you have skin damage and you give your skin time away from the sun to heal, it'll heal. Yeah. It will. Give yourself vitamin C. You know, massage your face, change your facial habits. And in particular, rub vitamin C on your skin. Yeah. Lots of water.
A really nice, super low. If you get a low flow enough shower head, and I guarantee you can check it out for yourself. Get a super low flow shower. I mean, the lowest flow shower you can get. Run the tub for about 10, 20 seconds. Okay. Put the shower head on. You should be able to, with a decent low flow shower head, stand there for 5 minutes. Less water than you would from your tub running in 20 seconds. I know ours does. I know it sounds incredible, but it's true. We can sit that fucker on forever. I love to do it. Just little minutes. And the reason is you just let it aerate your face, especially around your eyes, your nasal passages, inside of your nose. Get as much moisture in your face and in your nasal passages as you can. Obviously not up your nose.
Well, I mean, listen, if you live in a dry environment like ours, that's where that comes in handy. If you're oily, you probably don't need that.
Yeah, you live in a place where you're sweating all the time. Well, I take that back. No, actually, it's the exact opposite. Because that's one of the things that will help your face, because that overabundance of oil.
That's true.
That's true. Will clog your pores, and just letting that.
Well, exfoliating is always a big deal anyway. But basically, the biggest thing that you can do for anti-aging, though, is just honestly, just meditate and do energy work and keep just every day breathe in energy into your lower sacral chakra. And when that finally gets super full, actually, you can feel it when it gets full. If your sacral gets full, you'll almost feel a little bit like a tummy ache. It'll feel a little weird, like it'll start affecting your physiology. And then you can start bringing that into your heart.
Thank you so much.
And once you got that in your heart is where your chi comes from.
Yes.
And your chi is where your magical power comes from. So the more life force you're getting, the more magical power you're getting, the more you're able to connect here. And this is where your higher self, or a spark from your higher self, lives here. And this is what I identify with, And you want all of you connected all the way up as much as you possibly can. That's okay.
Thank you. And now, sorry. That's okay. You're good. And now, to everyone's favorite part, just real quickly, I want to demonstrate some more techniques.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I use the bottle because I believe that. That's how you can see the camera. And just so you understand that, when I'm demonstrating cunnilingus, I didn't want to be rude and imply that this is just for men on women. This is for anybody out there, ladies too. It's just that, and again, I don't want to be sexist and be like, just because I have a vagina, I don't mean to imply that everyone knows how to perform cunnilingus, because it is kind of a thing that you have to learn by doing and by learning tricks and tips, and so to speak. And yeah, the difference between knowing what feels good and knowing how to do it. So with that in mind, I just want to go over some basic tongue exercises and or not so much exercises, just positions and techniques and stuff. And one of the best ones to do, especially with women that have a really sensitive clit, is just kind of a nice way to probe it, is to fatten your tongue like this. If you can, most people can do it with their lips pursed. You want to try to work on it with your mouth as open as possible. Okay, and you want to put that through this clit just kind of gently against it. In a little probing manner, kind of move around the hood a little bit, and then see what the reaction of that is. And then what most women also find pleasurable is that kind of flattening of the tongue, and she can do it. She's got that little, if you have that natural and curved, and you'll get in there. Gently flatten it. And don't actually move your tongue so much. You just kind of move by moving your head up and down. And that's good too, just in terms of understanding the sensitivity and the rhythm and where to get at. And if you're coming in under the shelf, those little tiny licks are basically what you're looking for. Try not to tire yourself out or her. Just and you're good to go. So I got to be careful what I do it on here with, we don't want to get shut down or censored or all shit. But
honestly, we get censored more for political stuff than for sex.
And if you're a lady and you're out there thinking, that's never get best. Hey, we're always open to one. Shoot us an email or whatever. I'm happy. But remembering, as I said, that's the really sensitive area. It's also nice to kind of just assuming that this is the opening proper. Just kind of circle a little bit, and then go up and down. Thanks, Bon. Appreciate that. And then, I can't do it on this, but when you're getting in there, kind of, as you're going in and out, so to speak, that's when you can actually help her be more sensitive to G-spot, because even though your tongue can't reach it, by going up kind of under it, so to speak, under the foot of the hold, under the fold of the hood. God, I'm getting dyslexic. Under the fold of the hood, you can get a nice little approximation of a response to it. And usually when the hips start to buck a little bit, you're right there. Okay? So that's the nice little cunnilingus list.
Yeah.
Everyone be out there.
Cunnilingus corner. That's what we're going to call it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Cunnilingus corner.
Or how to row the little man the boat properly.
There you go. It's like, I don't know what that reminds me of. That reminds me of one of those old shows. I don't know. Anyway, here's another thing I do on a regular. I made this bottle. I've told you this before. It's a copper bottle, and it was a really good time astrologically. All the planets were going forward at the same time, and I made very sure to get it done. And so I used the magic square of Venus. And if you don't know what the magic squares are, those are totally mathematical. They're just based on the associations that the planets have to certain numbers, like the number 7, or the number 8 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I believe 5 is Mars, so you would have a 5 square with different, and it's like that's all matrix level stuff. So I decided to use one of those, and we engraved it on the bottom, and I engraved the underneath the lid here too, so that, and it basically is Venus for restoring youthfulness. And what's nice is copper actually will restore youthfulness physically as well, and it's associated with Venus. And so it was perfect because copper will restore the collagen in your skin. It helps your joints act better. Copper is really important for your health, actually, overall. And the waters actually acts as a very mild, antibiotic, too, because colloidal copper is an antibiotic. But this is very, much more mild, but it's very healthy water is the thing. And and if you believe in the power of water to take on impressions, at some point I'm going to make some more of these if anybody's interested.
I would be curious to see what it looks like under a microscope. I'm sure it has some fascinating qualities.
Oh, yeah. Water's amazing. I had no idea. When I was a kid, I had such a male way of thinking. I thought, it was all about magic wands.
It's a hydrogen bond. And if you guys have never seen it, it's a trippy thing because what it is a pair of Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what a hydrogen molecule or a water molecule looks like. H2O, two little hydrogens stuck on one big oxygen, right? So think of the oxygen as being like Mickey's, head, right? And the funny thing is that even though it's that weird shape, it actually forms almost like a pyramid around it. Basically, in terms of electrons, it does. It forms a pyramid. It's a pyramid bond. That's why water has such a darn thing. The surface tension comes from...
What happened?
Well, thank you, Tone. I think that's a 15-minute warning tone or something. Or...
Let me check.
Okay.
I don't know what it means.
Water has this pyramidal bond.
Yes.
That's the hydrogen bond. Like I say, it's why it joins so strong in itself. And it's weird because water takes more energy to heat than just about any other substance in the universe. But once heated, it retains it better than anything else.
Actually, there's a rarely known study that was done, or experiment rather, that was done in about the year 2000, and I should have it saved among my files. It's so, when I find something like this, I grab it and I try to save it. So I believe I have a copy. If I don't, then they Mandela affected me, but I hope they did not. So what happened is this guy, he got some seawater from Brazil. He was a Brazilian doctor, Brazilian scientist. It's totally legit. He got some seawater and some sand, and he superheated all of it to kill off any germs, to kill off any life, so it was completely 100% sterile, okay? And that was the point. And then he put a little bit of an electric current through it, like 7 hertz, I believe. And he came back, and in a couple days, there was microscopic life inside of this thing, where it had been sterile. It was in a sterile environment. There was no way it could have been tampered with from the outside. Somehow, the electricity and the water, some tiny microscopic life was formed.
Because this just lets my belief that Mother Earth literally is a mother, as I've said before, and if you don't know this. Seawater and amniotic fluid are virtually identical, literally, down to the tiniest grain measure of every single that's in there. All of them. Look at seawater. Break it down. The manganese, the gold, the saline, all of it. Look at amniotic fluid. They are literally identical all the way through. Okay? The ocean is amniotic fluid. And what do we do to our mother's womb? We piss in it. We shit in it. We dump oil in it. We dump our trash in it. You know what I mean?
There are so many islands of plastic.
How
and
long
they're
have
like,
we been literally
the size of space,
pissing and shitting in our own mother's womb? Fucked up, man.
That's why we got a healer. You know what I mean? You can do this with the ocean too. This whole Earth connection. You can imagine watery stuff too. Because it's connecting to it's about connecting to the Earth's consciousness anyway.
Yeah.
Mostly, it's about So if you want to include like water, you can
think
definitely.
It's your point field. That's a good question, man.
Oh yeah. I definitely know that that's possible. I'm pretty sure that's what Brill is.
It's weird. When you start getting things like that, and buddy, give it a second, we're almost done. He's such a little spaz. He's lovely. When you start getting things like toroidal energy and all that, again, you're A, flouting mainstream science and coming across like a kook, and B, stepping on some potentially really dangerous toes, people who don't want that shit getting out. But like I said, that's why at this point, it's just, thoughts are things, and too many people are aware of that. It's just a concept and a reality potential, if nothing else. And it's getting kind of hard to quash it. But, yeah, I definitely think that there are infinite dimensions, infinite ways for things to come through or be generated. And, everything that we've learned. Science is a methodology. It's not a set of answers. What we know to be true today is, look at what we thought when the Parthenon was reared afresh. You know what I'm saying? Look at all these things that we've taken for granted. And how do you think... we were watching this great article about what people thought life would be like, and look it up on YouTube, what people in literally 100 years ago thought it would be like in, 2010 or whatever it was, and half of it is so accurate and so down, it's like, oh, you were on that shit. And it's like, oh, yeah, because they couldn't envision. They couldn't envision the differences in technology. They couldn't envision things that came along. They honestly thought that we would have incredible means of communication, but all by telephone wires. They never could conceive of people bouncing shit off satellites. You know what I'm saying? It's like our generation can't conceive of the quantum things that they'll be able to do in terms of possible, gravitational or time-space fields. You know what I mean? Everything, and this is what I say, remember this, and here's what I like to explain this way. Everything that is conceptually possible is logically possible, given the parameters of the correct science. Anything you can dream up, envision, think of, speculate on, can be done, given the parameters of the correct science. This is a fucking Bic lighter, okay? I don't know what, $1.20 at the store. If you find a good one, $2.25, they're expensive, but it's a fucking lighter, okay? It's plastic. It's a little steel. It's a ratcheting wheel on a piece of flint and some gas. That's all it is. That's all it is. We take it for every day. But if I somehow got transported back to Salem, Massachusetts in 1670, and I did this, oh, witch bringing fire from his hand. Oh, witch bringing fire from his hand. Witch bringing fire from his hand. Oh, God, burn him. And I can sit and go, hey, yodels, calm down. Look, much like the beeswax that you use, this is like a very hardened form of beeswax, and within there's a piece of metal. They knew what flint was. They knew what the fuck flint was.
Yeah.
You could explain all the simple physical process. Now, this was like a thing of hardened beeswax with a fuel that burned into a gas that they had seen before, and all kinds of shit, and they would still burn you as a fucking witch because it would be magic. Just like if I myself went boom, and I had a fireball in my hand, and I'm like having fire on my hand, I'm shooting fireballs like a wizard in D&D, and you're like, oh, that's fucking. I go, no, this is an amazing technology wherein there's a weave mesh that goes around my hand, and this mesh is connected by a neural interlink to my brain. And what this mesh does is it just sucks oxygen out of the air, and due to my brain's commands, it moves them in particular patterns around my hand, igniting them, allowing me to throw fireballs, right? And I can think of that right fucking now. And some genius out there would make a little fire glove that somehow has some amazing neural link that allows it to fucking oxygen out of the air, ignite it, and hug a fireball, right? Okay? But that right now,
you heard it here before he thought of it.
And even if I just said, no, I'm literally summoning convention, technically, that's magic that we call magic because we don't know the science behind it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of real magic is the fact that we're interacting with higher dimensional planes. And from a higher dimensional plane, you can do things that look completely crazy magic here. And are completely, everyone in the fifth dimension can do the same shit. But there's one guy who goes around and he answers people's prayers and stuff. Honestly, a lot of people think he's a dick. To be frank with you,
I appreciate that.
He's not a dick. He's been human multiple times, and he cares about us, really. But they think he's a dick because he interferes, and they think it's kind of selfish. But honestly,
how dare you give the stupid ape fire? Like, look at him, man. They got feces in their fur, for God's sake.
He cares. He does it because he cares. But it's also
they don't have claws. They don't have teeth. They can't run for shit.
It's the same guy going around with all these different cultures too. Like he's in all these cultures, and he has all these names in different cultures. But he's just this one. He's a fifth dimensional guy.
Yeah.
And
he's the guy with the handbag. He's handbag man.
Yeah. He's like the Doctor. He's Doctor Who. You know. He ran from a place and he's doing his thing. You know. That's what he's doing.
I'm just saying, there's too many examples where, like, basically they went from being like literally, wiping their asses with seashells and using stone tools to like, oh man, look at that shit you guys got going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just so quantitatively such a thing, but
But that's what we're doing is like some people really are part of another dimension, and to be honest, every single person at this point is basically part of another dimension, and that's been like that for so many eons that it's pointless to argue about who's better. Nobody's better anymore.
We're all starved, and we're just trying to get back home. You know what I mean?
And that's all. If the Doctor had something to say to you, if Raphael had something to say to you, he would say, we're all star children.
Help all the people here on the journey you can, but don't get bogged down, man. You know what I mean? Be with the balloon people.
That's right.
All right. Hope we gave you a good time, guys. Entertaining.
Yeah.
Weren't too digressive, didn't jump around. And again, blessings to everyone suffering from the wildfires, to anyone that's lost anything or even everything. We're so sorry. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, man. Hopefully we give you a laugh and a smile somewhere, somehow. But hopefully better things will come to you guys in the next couple of weeks. Until then, we love you all. We hope you have good days, great sex, beautiful, awesome tantra, okay? May the God or Goddess be with you guys, and we'll see you next week. Until then, take care.
See you next week. Yay.